Well, hey, happy July 8th to you all. I have been pondering some new videos to do, and I had a suggestion from patrons, and I want to give you a little bit of backstory about what these series of stories will be about. As anybody who especially supports the photography gifting that I do for families in shelters, they all know and understand that they don't get to see the portraits I create. And it's a very, it takes a lot of faith, and I am so honored by you guys that help support this work. You don't get to see what actually happens with the portraits and what they mean to these families. But, the majority of you that are supporting this work also understand and have some of the experience like I have, having grown up with some domestic violence. You understand how important it is to protect these families' anonymity and their privacy. And I do, on occasion, make a very soft ask if I know I've got an exceptionally great story and portrait going on. I'll say, are you guys at all, would you at all be willing for me to share this portrait with my patrons? And if they hesitate for even a second, if they have to even think about it, which they always do, I immediately very graciously say, you know what, please, never mind, don't worry about it. And you can see the relief wash over them, because they feel like they should share, because they're being gifted this wonderful gift by my patrons and by what I'm doing. Yet in their heart, they're not comfortable with it, because in all my website, in the flyers that go up to promote the shoots at the shelters, it all states that the families own the pictures exclusively. Excuse me. Not even the shelter has any rights to the photos unless the families grant them the right to use the pictures. So a couple patrons have mentioned, hey, you could at least share some of the really interesting stories of the families anonymously with no details. And that would be a nice way to share what's happening. And so this is the first of one of those. So last summer, I was shooting at a shelter in Seattle. A shelter in particular has a large population of immigrants, very recent immigrants to the United States. And there was a particular core group of immigrants there, all from the same country, all single women with children, some with 2 or 3, some with just 1. And these group of sisters, and of course I don't mean that they're literally biological sisters, but they were so tight. They were so excited about me coming out and doing these portraits. They shared clothes because they didn't have the resources for all of them to have, really nice clothes. And this is not an unusual thing for these moms to come up with, where they'll share clothes for their children between each other. So in this case, they'd come up with some really great clothes for the kids and for themselves, beautiful wraps for the, babies/toddlers. And they were just loving it, having so much fun getting the pictures done. And there was one younger mom in the group who had a baby, and she stayed on the periphery. She liked seeing what was going on. They kept trying to get her to do it. And of course, I don't do any kind of coercion about this. I never say, I don't go around recruit anybody. I just do the portraits. I'm there, it's obvious, it's available. It's very important to me that nobody feels any kind of pressure, because that's not what it's about. And but her sisters were putting the pressure to her, because she was really beautiful. This woman could model. She's just beautiful, and her baby was beautiful. And they all knew the portraits would be great. So I'm there for 3 hours, and they would work on her every now and then. And finally, with just like 15 minutes left to go on the shoot, she comes up. She's got a couple gals that are just like, have worked it out. They're getting her to do it. And so she's looking happy about it. I'm like, sure, I'd love to. And wrote down email to send the pictures to, which wasn't hers. It was going to be through one of her friends there. And so she was totally preserved anonymity. And we went ahead and did the portraits. Baby was amazingly alert and happy. She was beautiful. The portraits were just exceptional. They were great, really nice. And all the ladies were just going nuts over it. They were so thrilled she was doing it. And when we're done shooting, she comes over, look on the camera like everybody does, of course. You want to see them. And she's looking through very intently, more intently than most, each frame. Probably had 14, 15 frames. You shoot that much because there's going to be a couple where a baby does weird face or you get eyes blinking, whatever. And she really was soaking these in. And she was done looking at them, and then she looks at me, and I can't remember what she said, but I want to say she knew delete. She said, delete. And the ladies who are still staying there, they're thrilled with the pictures too. One was translating for me because this gal was so new to the country. She didn't have a lot of English, so the other lady was translating. I said, oh, can you let her know I will delete the ones with closed eyes or where the baby makes a weird face. I won't keep those. And so she explains this to her, and the gal goes, says a bunch of things, and is very energetic. And my translation gal, I can see her face changing like, oh my God. And she says, no, she wants you to delete them off the camera. I said, well, okay, I can delete the bad ones off the camera. She says, no, she wants you to delete all of them. And I said, can you please explain to her that if I delete them off the camera before I download them, I can't send her the final images. And so this gal takes another. I knew she understood the gal, what she was getting at, but she honored what I wanted to explain. She went ahead and explained that to the gal again. And the gal was just adamant, no, she wants them gone. And the gal comes up, she says, she's seen the pictures now, and she wants them to be gone, to never get off your camera. And in that moment, I totally went back to, because I could see the anxiety that was building in the woman that I just photographed. I totally flashed back to the anxiety of having escaped a horrible man, a dangerous, abusive man, and the sense of, I don't want to do anything that could reveal us where we are. And that was her angle. She soaked those pictures in off the camera, imprinted them in her mind. That's why she took so much time. She knew she wasn't going to let them come off the camera. Knew they'd never be downloaded. They'd never be delivered to her. This was her moment to see how beautiful her and her baby were, and to just put that in her mind forever. And oh boy, so those are the kind of moments where you really sense the gravity of this work and its significance. And you're also very graphically reminded of what these women in particular are living with. And I feel so honored to be let into their world to do this for them. I know it's a potentially vulnerable thing for them to have any kind of images created. But they trust me, and I honor that trust by never ever showing their pictures, Like I said, unless a family said yes. And I've had one family say yes, and that's the family portrait on my Patreon landing page. So this is really, it's an honor that my patrons, support this work, and the people who donate. You have no idea how important it is to people. And I can't tell you how honored I am to be able to do this work and be at the forefront of that gifting. And I just want to thank you all for your support. And so, anyway, that's the first of these stories. I'll keep bringing them to you. I got a few to share. And I hope that helps to kind of open up the world of the Jackdaw gifting I'm doing. I really do want to make it a little more transparent as I possibly can, while preserving these women and families' security and anonymity. And I appreciate your understanding about that. So wishing you all a lovely weekend.